All right. It's the sound of another Malarkey hour coming right at you. This is your host, Matt. And with me, my co-host, John. How's it going, sir?
Are we recording?
We are. Do you hear the music? Do you hear the music?
Yes, I hear the music.
You do?
Yeah.
I'm never sure if you hear the music.
Yeah, but you jam out to it so much, I don't know when we're starting.
Okay. Yeah, I do play it a lot. People don't know that I play on a loop like an hour before we start recording.
He plays it when he works out.
Yeah.
So he never plays it.
Yeah, this will be like a weird workout jam.
Yeah.
I feel like
It's just as good as the Rocky music.
we should just play this like under like our
I mean,
the
maybe
whole
if you're
podcast.
like trying to like some kind of, what do they call it? Like enhanced interrogation.
just loop. Imagine hearing this like over and over.
Jesus. Some kind
It's
of
so
weird
cheery.
torture method.
Like I think the first like 10 minutes would be like, oh, that's just like, oh, I'm in a good mood.
Until this is all you hear for
over for like how long? How many hours you think? How many hours you think it would take before you go crazy listening to this?
40 minutes.
Really?
I don't know, dude.
We should try it.
No,
I don't think we've ever played it this long.
probably not. I don't think I've ever heard this much of it.
All right, that's it, John. Wait, let's play it all the way through.
This is just us showing we didn't prepare anything this week.
We preferred stuff. Actually, we're probably wasting too much time right now. A whole 2 minutes dedicated. Is it a 2-minute song?
Is it?
Yeah, it's a 2-minute song.
Damn.
We're almost done, actually. It's almost there.
Wow. I've never heard.
The ending's like really good.
Is
Like,
it good?
It has a really good ending.
It'd be funny if there's
Yeah.
lyrics I've just never heard of. It's just like,
We should write lyrics to this.
Yeah.
That's it.
We're allowed, right?
We can write lyrics to it.
Oh, because it's open music, right?
Yeah.
So,
Royalty free. Okay,
so we
John.
like you're royalty free.
We should write lyrics to that song. You know what? Let's have our listeners. We'll have a listener. Our tens of listeners out there. Write lyrics to it and post it on one of our videos. The lyrics, and the one that we find our favorites, or whoever responds, they'll get a free Malarkey Hour T-shirt. Not even John has a Malarkey Hour T-shirt, so.
Yeah, you're covering the t-shirts.
So whoever writes our favorite lyrics will get a free Malarkey Hour T-shirt, and we'll sort out the details later. But just comment on one of our videos.
I want to write some just to fuck with you. I'm like, damn, these are really good. Like, you was me. You know what? Now I'm gonna give you a PO box. Like, oh, they're. I can't make it from here though, because it'd be too obvious. It'd be a city. Like, I got it. It's funny how I'm telling you I'm doing this, but then I'll bet you it could still fool you.
You think so?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what you see in the back office. I probably should have used a different account other than my name.
Yeah. No, I'm serious about it. If any of our listeners wants to write lyrics to that song,
Yeah, but they gotta be like, can't just be like a sentence.
No, it has to be actual lyrics. And then what we'll do is, I will hire a real singer to sing them with that music, and then that'll be our new theme song.
Again, you're taking care of all this.
Yes. All right.
Matt's gonna sing it himself because he's not gonna find anybody that wants to do it for $10.
I'll pay somebody like $300 to do it. I bet you I can find somebody to do it for $300.
Probably.
Yeah.
Shit, I'll do it.
As John, I said a real singer, John.
You haven't heard my shit.
Yeah, unfortunately I have. All right.
Drunk karaoke.
Yeah. All right. So let's get this week's episode started. Our first segment tonight. I like this segment. I like talking about this. Is a segment I like to call all-time favorite movie. And this is where me and John, we converse about.
It's actually John and I, but it's okay.
It's not John and me?
That sounds like a 90s movie.
John and me.
Marley and Me.
Was it Marley's like 2000s?
Oh, no. You know what I'm thinking of? Which is the one? I'm stupid. I'm thinking of in my head. I know that's the one with Tom Hanks and the dog.
You're thinking about Turner and Hooch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought
that's 80s, John. That's not 90s.
Oh, I'm sorry.
God.
Jeez.
Maybe you said Roger and Me. That'd be more apt. Wasn't that the 90s?
That was
with
Michael Moore and the dog.
A lot of dog movies. No,
that dog that was being overworked and underpaid.
I guess it is where John and I converse about our favorite film. John, the English teacher. John is actually an English teacher.
I'm not like certified or anything.
No, and not
I just correct people.
And not like he actually teaches at a school or has a class or has students or yeah.
No, when I hear people conversing and they say shit wrong, I just butt in. I say, "Listen, I'm going to teach you something right now."
Yeah.
Sometimes they get a little annoyed.
In reality, I guess you can say, John, that the whole world's your classroom.
Yeah, that's how I like to think of it. Yeah.
Anywhere you're at, whether it's at an Arby's or at a bar, anywhere, that's your classroom.
I find people at Arby's make a lot of grammatically wrong statements.
Do they?
Yeah. Starting with "we have the meats." That could actually be a real sentence. It sounds funny though. It sounds odd.
We have the meat. Well, it has everything necessary for a sentence, right? Let's break down the sentence structure of "we have the meats."
It's a sentence.
It's a sentence, right?
Yes.
We have a subject.
But it sounds like something a serial killer would say.
We is the subject.
Arby's is a fine establishment. I love their roast beef and the cheese.
We have the subject, we. We have the verb, have.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the object, meat.
Call it a noun, but okay.
It's the object.
They say meats though, but still, I guess it makes sense.
Meats. We have the meats.
They do say meats.
Yeah.
I think it still makes sense though.
Well, they got multiple meats. They don't have just one meat. Multiple meats. How many roast beef?
But isn't the plural of meat still meat?
Is it?
Like I
have one piece of meat.
And
I have meat. I have a lot of meat.
A lot of meat.
You're right.
So maybe it's not. I don't know. I would say no.
Yeah, it's incorrect.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Arby's.
So me and John in this segment, we talk about Arby's. No, we talk about one of our favorite movies that we have watched over and over and over and over. Yeah, I think the qualification we have to have at least watched it more than 5 times. I just made that up right now.
I'm sure I have, but thanks for just making up rules on the fly.
That's what I do, John. And this week, the movie that we're going to talk about, and since, it is Thanksgiving, time period where Thanksgiving's in a few days, I thought we'd talk about a movie that I know I watch every Thanksgiving. I know you said you, for a few years, would watch it every Thanksgiving, and that movie is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah.
This is a movie.
It's like a family movie, but it's kind of not.
Yeah. It's a movie written and directed by the great, late John Hughes, starring Steve Martin and John Candy. They're pretty much the only actors in the movie that appear the whole movie. There's a lot of supporting actors, but they come and go.
I like to think it's Kevin Bacon's movie.
You think it's Kevin Bacon's movie? Yeah.
Because you know what? Without Kevin Bacon and that cab scene,
it wouldn't work. You're right. That actually
it does play a critical role in the movie.
It does. And I think it's apropos that we talk about it right today, because this movie was released November 25th, 1987, the day before Thanksgiving that year. We're officially in the 32nd anniversary.
Yeah, we like to honor movies on their 32nd anniversary. It's just a thing.
It's been 32 years since the movie premiered, John. Today, actually, right now we're recording at midnight.
Yeah.
And we're on the 25th.
You remember at Midnight, that show with Chris Hardwick?
Yes.
On Comedy Central?
Yes.
It was okay.
He talked about, he said Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was one of his favorite movies, too.
Did it really?
Nah, I don't know. I'm trying to connect it back to what we're talking about.
He's an older guy.
Yeah, he's an older guy. He's older than us.
He looks younger than us. Oh, he could pass for like way younger than he is.
No, he looks like he's had his years. But this movie, yes, was released the Wednesday before Thanksgiving of that year. And if you've never seen it. It is stars Steve Martin. He plays Neil Page, a high-strung marketing executive. And John Candy plays Del Griffith, who is a shower curtain salesman.
Did you write high-strung marketing executive yourself?
Yes, I did. John Candy is Del Griffith, a good-hearted but annoying shower curtain salesman. John. But they share an adventure together. They're trying to get back home for the Thanksgiving holiday to be with their families.
Seen other movies like I was thinking like that try to kind of do this thing like Tommy Boy does a little bit of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy Boy's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like let's just make it like a road trip movie with like two guys that don't get along.
Yeah. Because this movie hinges on Steve Martin and John Candy. I mean, the whole movie is pretty much them.
Yeah, they have to be opposite.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like that movie like Due Date with Robert Downey Jr. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah.
Zach Galifianakis.
Zach
Galifianakis.
I think I pronounced that correctly.
That should be on the spelling bee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which we're doing in a few weeks,
Yeah.
Get ready. So yes, this movie starts 2 days before Thanksgiving. As I was rewatching it in anticipation for this week's podcast, and I watch it every year anyway. You start looking at the timeline. You do realize that Neil, Steve Martin's character, he's trying to get home. Essentially, it's Tuesday night.
It's a very complicated movie.
It's Tuesday night, right? The timeline. Like, his flight is 6 p.m. Tuesday night. Thanksgiving's on Thursday. So he's risking.
I mean, it sounds pretty simple.
He's risking.
When I saw it, I go, this is going to go fine.
Is that what you thought?
Yeah,
the first time you saw it?
Yeah. I still think it every time I think. Every time
you're like, he's going to make it home in like...
Oh, it's Tuesday.
Like, he might make it home by midnight.
Yeah,
worse,
like
right?
Probably 11:30.
Well, the thing is saving him. Does he cross time zones? No, he's still the Eastern, right? Because he's flying from New York to Chicago. No, he is. He's saving an hour.
It changes time.
He's saving an hour because he's going back in time.
Yeah. This brings us to Back to the Future, who we're going to talk about right now. No, I'm just kidding. We'll do that another time.
So he's flying from New York, which is an hour ahead of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, he's going to save an hour.
Yeah.
It's always fun to travel that way.
At the end, this is a movie about time travel.
It really is a time traveling movie, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Like a lot of people think it's way deeper than anyone thinks.
Yeah. So he's trying to make it home.
Mm-hmm.
He is.
The suspense is killing me. Really.
It's a funny first scene. It opens with his boss looking over a ad.
Taking forever.
He's just. Hey, have you ever watched it all the way through the credits? Just before we move forward.
I don't know.
At the very end, it shows the boss still there.
He's still there.
There's a turkey dinner by his desk. He's still trying to.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I remember it now.
Yeah.
But I haven't like.
You never watched it through the credits.
I probably actually do remember it now.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying I haven't seen that scene in years. But it is. I remember there's he's eating turkey, right?
He has his turkey dinner right there. Yeah. He's still waiting. He's still trying to make.
Because I just rewatched it for this.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in a few years.
And John Hughes has done that with. He did that with Ferris Bueller. He had a end credit scene as well. Yeah. Where he's like, "You're still here?" And he's like trying to shush us away. What's his name? Ferris Bueller. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's there. They're waiting on the boss to make a decision, and ends up being they're just going to reconvene after the holiday. So he's trying to make it home to Chicago. I never understood that. So he works in New York, but he lives in Chicago, or did he go to New York for this business meeting? It's never very clear.
Well, he does talk about being on the road a lot.
Yeah.
So I keep thinking he's just all over the country.
And he just happens to live in Chicago.
Yeah.
But they have offices maybe in New York?
Probably, because he's like, I don't think he just works in New York. I think he just flies a lot and just like goes places.
Yeah. And he makes pretty good money because like that scene where he's trying to get the cab and he's offering that lawyer money.
$75.
$75. Adjusted for inflation, you know how much that is? I did the math.
What is it?
It's like close to like $175 in today's dollars.
Damn.
So he went from first he offers him $20
That was just to get the cab.
just to get the cab.
Not even for the cab.
So if you remember
still
that,
got to pay for the cab.
exactly. So you remember that scene? He first offers him $20,
Mm-hmm.
which adjusted for inflation, it's like $50 today. And then the guy says no. Then he offers him $50.
It's a movie about math.
$50, which is about $100 in today's dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And he offers him 75, which is closer to like 175.
How's 50 100?
Well, 50
and
like
then 75 is
actually
175.
50 was between 100 and 125.
I'm just saying.
Sorry.
How does one become?
Yeah. Well, it's also like the
I know
numbers are
I'm
tricky.
just fucking with you.
Yeah, the numbers are tricky.
I'm just fucking with you.
So,
All right,
but
so
it's a lot of money to just.
all right,
throw.
let's figure this out. It's gonna take about 20 minutes here, guys. Let's figure this out.
But that's a lot of money to be throwing around, right?
Yeah.
Even in today's dollar, even
No, even
dollars,
today, I don't want to give somebody.
$75 is a lot of
I
money.
don't want to give somebody 75 for a cab.
And then later on, when they lose all their money, not to jump ahead, like he said, he had over 700.
People are listening to this that have never seen it.
remember later on when they get their money stolen, he said he had over $700 in his wallet.
Yeah.
That's like $1,500 in today's. Have you ever lost $1,500, John? Just like audio.
Yes, I have.
That's crazy.
For those of we'll talk about it another time. Let's just say I've lost $1,500.
So Neil
We can
Page.
talk about it later.
So Neil Page is making some good bucks as a marketing exec. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he's just. I mean, and look at his house. The house is a mansion.
Yeah, it looks big.
Yeah.
I think all the houses in John Hughes movies
They're
are
like
big.
huge, right?
Yeah.
Home Alone was like a
I was gonna
fucking
say.
It's like a multi-million-dollar house, and
Yeah. But it's funny.
makes you think what the dad does, right? It's like you might be part of the mob, John. There's that
Matt
theory.
has an absurd, or it's not his theory, but a theory that he read about
Yeah.
the dad from Home Alone's really in the mob. That's how he makes his money.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So Neil Page offers this guy money, and his cab gets stolen by, we find out later, John Candy's character. Del
What?
Griffith. Well, actually, we do see him. He catches up to the cab, and he threatens poor Del.
He sees him first while he's driving away, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he catches up to the cab, and he's like,
He's already driving off, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know who you messed with. That line gets repeated over and over.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Yeah.
says it a bunch of times.
Yeah. But then he officially meets him at the airport,
Mm-hmm.
where we get the first conversation between John Candy
Before
and
the
Steve Martin.
plane goes off.
Before the plane goes off, yeah. And he's
Right.
like, I know you from somewhere.
Yeah. And I was like, this is the last time these two are going to see each
Yeah,
other.
yeah. Hopefully, they both make it home to their respective families, and they have a nice Thanksgiving dinner.
Right.
And movie's over. And it's like, this is gonna be a
The
short
flight-
film.
The flight is going to Chicago, right?
Yes, it's going to Chicago.
Yeah.
O'Hara, because remember O'Hara's.
Mm-hmm.
They make that announcement. O'Hara's, we have a blizzard, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but gotcha.
Yeah, they end up stuck in Wichita.
Yeah. That's where it has to land because of the weather, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's a very complicated movie, guys.
it's super complicated.
like if you, it's kind of like Inception, or what's the other one? Interstellar.
Interstellar.
Yeah. I say it's Interstellar
Uh-huh.
is simpler than this one.
You think so?
Yeah.
So essentially, their plane, it's going to Chicago, but it gets rerouted to Wichita,
Mhm.
Kansas, and then they had to take a train, and it stops at Jefferson City, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the train, they take a bus, but it only takes them to
I thought you were gonna say an automobile,
an automobile,
just because you're like they take a plane, they take a train, you know, plane,
a
trains,
bus.
bus, planes, trains, buses.
No, then they take a bus,
Mm-hmm.
and then do you know where they take after the bus, John?
After the bus, okay, where do they go? They go plane.
A little trivia for you,
They go from the plane. They go from the train. They go to the bus.
where they sing three coins in a fountain.
That's on the bus.
3 coins in the fountain. Where do they go after the bus? Can remember the bus only takes them so far.
After that, does that guy give him a ride? Or no. What happens? I'm thinking
Do they take a
plane, train.
plane, trains, and what?
Oh, they take the rental.
Yeah, automobile.
Okay, but I'm saying that's after his fuck scene, right?
Yeah.
When I say fuck scene, there's not like a sex scene.
Yeah.
It's-
We'll get to what you mean. Yeah. And then
Oh,
from
yeah.
there, rental car. And then do you know what the last mode of transportation? Because remember, the rental car gets towed because they burn it.
The truck, the big.
Yeah, the milk truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
That's
gotta
how they
sit
make
in
it in Chicago.
They got to sit in the back.
Back for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because the guy's weird about his.
You forget the guy that takes them in that truck.
Oh, yeah. But that doesn't really count.
Well, they're freezing in the back, right?
Yeah.
And it's like how
Because
many?
that's after the that's to get to the train.
Right.
Yeah, the next morning.
Yeah.
After they're stuck in Wichita.
How long are they there? He's like forget. He's like so many miles. It's like it's
Oh,
only
30.
like, it's only 20 miles, 30 miles, 70 miles.
Yeah, it's like 30
It's like,
miles.
we don't-
30.
yeah.
You know, it's about 75 miles. You know, I always find that line. He goes, "How cold do you think it is?" It's like 1.
Yeah. One.
1. Yeah. But
Yeah.
because as the guy tells him, he goes, people train don't go out of there. That's unless you're a
Oh, yeah.
hog.
No.
People train come out of Stubbville.
Yeah. People. What did you say? People come out of.
The people train don't go out of there. It's like unless you're a hog. He goes, people train go out of Stubbville.
Guy you can barely understand.
Yes, to take him out of Stubbville. But
Yeah.
let's not get too far ahead. So you know they make it to Wichita, John, and they're stuck there. So they have to share a hotel room, and that's where we have one of the more infamous. You know, it's really funny scene. You break it down, and it's something I want to talk about, like the direction. You know, John Hughes is like I don't think he gets as much credit for being a good comedy director. But do you remember when like they go into the room and they have to share a room, and not only have to share a room, they share a bed.
Small ass bed.
But he does that great shot where it's like from Neil's point of view, from Steve Martin's character.
Just like yeah.
And it's just like it just pans, and then it goes into John Candy's face, and he's just looking, and he's like gives him the weirdest like half smile.
Very like 90s comedy, kind of like.
And then John Candy makes.
You know it's an 80s movie, but you know what I mean, like that old comedy kind of like.
Yeah. And then John Candy gives one of the funniest lines. He's like, "You want to take a shower?"
Oh yeah, he's like.
Because no, not together. Like you want to go first.
Yeah.
But it's such a great delivery. It's just so, you know, because you know it is funny. 'Cause, you know, that scene plays out like here's two men who, obviously, men aren't supposed to communicate or not supposed to have like these. You know, there's this like feeling of like, well, we're both men. We're not supposed to be intimate. Like, you know,
I've never talked to you about anything.
Yeah, but
this is the only time we talk.
But the scene is setting you up. Obviously, throughout the course of this movie, these two men are going to grow closer together. So they're setting up this scene, saying, "Hey, these guys are uncomfortable talking to another man." So like there's this awkward back and forth during this scene. It's setting you up to like, no, they're going to grow closer together, and they're going to have to overcome this. You know, men are not supposed to be like emotional with each other or open up to each other. So they're uncomfortable. So it's like. And that's where the comedy comes in. It's like, oh, you want to take a shower, and then, and the fact that they share a bed, and then of course the next morning, where one of the funniest, probably I always say top 5 funniest lines.
Oh, the pillows.
Yeah, let me see. Let me read it out. Let me see. I had it here, where we have, what's that song that's playing in the background? I always forget I forget the song, and like they're panning over. And you see John Candy hugging Steve Martin.
Oh, yeah. He's just kissing him, right?
And he has this, Steve Martin, for some reason, is holding John Candy's hand. And John Candy kisses his ear. And he's like, Dale, why did you kiss my ear? And he goes, why are you holding my hand? He goes, where's your other hand? Dale goes, between two pillows. He goes, those aren't pillows.
Those aren't pillows.
And it's like, and then it goes back to like, like they're, they're not being homophobic. They're just like, they're not used to being in like, that close to another man. It's like, and they try to break the tension up. It's like, oh, how about them Bears, right?
Hell of a game.
Yeah, hell of a game. But that's the only way they know how to communicate with another man. Is like, talking about sports, talking about man stuff. Yeah. So like it sets up that.
Yeah. No, that is really fucking funny.
Yeah. And you know what? What's crazy? That scene. That scene follows one of the probably one of the best acting scenes in this movie, where Steve Martin's just fed up with him. He's has to share a room with him. He paid for the cab. He paid for the room. There's no hot water because John Candy used up all the hot water, and he spilled beer all over the bed, and then Steve Martin just wants to go to sleep, and John Candy keeps like snorting in his sleep. He's trying to get comfortable, and he's making all this noise.
They don't show him the beer explode, right? They just
no.
about
They
it.
just talk about it. Which what's interesting? Just fast fact. You realize they shot enough film to make a 3-hour film out of this movie. Like the first cut.
How long was it?
The first cut was like 2+ hours.
It's like an hour and a half, right?
The movie's only an hour and a half, but the first cut is like 2+ hours. So there's a lot of scenes that they just talk about that they never show.
They never released it, right?
No, they never released it, which is smart. Like it's a very well edited film. There's not a lot of fat, which is good because
John Candy was a little overweight though.
Yeah. So Steve Martin's like fed up. He's trying to go to sleep. He's sleeping in essentially a puddle. He calls it a puddle of beer, and John Candy's making all this noise. So he gets up and he like goes on his tirade, and such a great like Steve Martin's just.
That's after he cleans his face with his underwear.
Yeah. No, that's the next morning.
Okay, so when did that's after the pillows or before the pillows?
That's after the pillows.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
after he jumps out of bed, that's when he's like just completely fed up with him, right?
Yeah, he's fed up with him. He's trying to go to sleep, and he just goes on a tirade. He's like, I can stand, the most boring insurance seminar, and they'll ask me like, how did you do it? And it's like, I've met Del Griffin.
Yeah, that's a funny line.
Yeah.
He's really good at being angry in that
movie.
And
it's such a great like Steve Martin angry scene, and it's such a great John Candy. You just see the look on his face, just like he is just being beat down, John Candy, and it's so subtle, and it's like, here's this man who's probably never met a person he hasn't liked, right?
Yeah,
this gregarious, good-hearted man who's there's no stranger that he can make friends with, and then he has this man who doesn't want to be around him, and you can see just his heartbreak. Yeah, and that scene, and such great acting by Steve Martin and John Candy.
It really is, and you don't think of them as like great
actors, but they were.
Oh, you think them as fucking hilarious, and like good comedy actors, but it is a good like.
It's a great scene.
It's a good scene. It's like
it's
it is a classic like. It's a classic like little snip of drama in that movie.
Yeah, and then
it's like ooh, and you can tell it's like even Steve Martin knows he's been an asshole.
Well, he is like and in a way he was trying to hurt him,
Yeah.
But
yeah, but I mean I think he's just like they're both just John Candy's like he realizes he did probably go over the line and hurt this guy, I guess.
Because he initially you can tell like hey rightfully so he's fed up with them, right? I mean there's only so much you can take from him, but like this, he's still a human being, right? And I think he realizes.
What's that song they play?
Which one?
I don't know the name of the song. He's like, I like me. My wife likes me.
Oh yeah. Well, let me play John Candy's response to Steve Martin's tirade. I don't think I can do it justice.
You want to hurt me? Go right ahead if it makes you feel any better. I'm an easy target. Yeah, you're right. I talk too much. I also listen too much. I could be a cold-hearted cynic like you. But I don't like to hurt people's feelings. Well, you think what you want about me. I'm not changing. I like me. My wife likes me. My customers like me. Because I'm the real article. What you see is what you get.
So...
It's a good scene.
It's a really great, and you know what? And I'm sorry if you're hearing this podcast, you've never seen this movie. Stop now because I'm going to spoil the ending. Obviously, it's a 32-year-old movie, so I don't think I have to say spoiler alert. But his wife is dead, right? So like,
wait, what?
Rewatching this scene, like obviously after you've seen this movie so many times, like that scene, like it's really emotional because he says, "My wife likes me."
It's funny. It is one of those things like. Because she's dead the whole movie. Once you've seen,
once you've seen it, yeah, and it works. It still works.
No, but it actually makes the scene a little like sadder.
It's sad, yeah, like, even sadder, yeah. I mean, it's already sad the first time you watch it.
It's sad before you know. It's like, oh wait, it's sad now that you do know.
Yeah,
like,
because and he also uses the present tense. My wife likes me.
Yeah. No,
even though she's been dead for 80 years.
Yeah, not like he didn't say my wife loved me. He said my wife likes me. Yeah. It's basically like the Sixth Sense, guys. Like that's like this those two movies are pretty much identical.
Right.
You have no idea, like, his wife is just dead the whole time. And
Yeah. And you know what? I'll admit it. And you know, it's a movie that I tend to watch by myself. But I'll admit, like that
well,
scene.
just because you don't have any friends.
Yeah, exactly. No, you know that scene does tear me up. Like when I watch it, it's emotional. Like you know, because John Candy delivers those lines so he's so hurt. You know, here's a guy who just wants to be friends with Steve Martin. And he's rejected. Like I mean, that's. You know, that speaks to so many people on so many levels. Like we've all felt rejection in our life. You know.
Nah.
And you know, and
no, just kidding.
And
most people, I'm an acquired taste.
So it's so crazy to have that scene and then the next scene be one of the funniest scenes too. You know, with the whole pillow thing.
Yeah, because he goes back to bed, right?
Yeah, because they go to bed and they wake up and you know what's funny about that scene when they're waking up? It's like the little tiny details.
Yeah, you gotta do it in that order too. I think.
What? Oh, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't.
It's always such an emotional scene, and then
you have to bring people out.
The most emotional
it's
scene.
It's still a comedy.
It's still a comedy. It's the most emotional scene in the movie, other than the ending. And then you have the funniest scene in the movie.
Yeah, one of them.
One or two the funniest scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you have to because you can't keep it too dark and not you know what I mean. It's like at the end, it's still a comedy.
Yes. Yeah. So they wake up the next morning. You know, has his hands between his butt cheeks. Let's just say it.
Got his hand up his ass.
It's such a great way to pillows, right? It's like just the image of pillows. It's so great.
Yeah.
It's like my hands are between two pillows.
Yeah.
But you know, and then you know, they realize at breakfast that all their money's gone. They've been robbed. And they're gonna charge the way home, as John Candy says.
Yeah. But he thinks he stole it at first.
Yeah, he stole it. It's like, you stole it. What do you say? I've never stolen anything in my life.
Yeah, that's what the 700.
Yeah, the 700. So that's when they take the truck to Stubbsville because that's where the people train goes out of.
Yes, people train.
People train, and then they
start saying people train.
And then they get on the train and they're like, okay, Dell thinks Steve Martin's character thinks, okay, I'm done with this guy. It's free. I'm on this train. I'm going home. They don't have seats together, so
they couldn't get seats.
They couldn't get.
You think they couldn't, or you think he did?
You know, that is one of those things.
They don't tell you.
They don't. He says they can't, but something tells me there was two seats together.
Probably.
Yeah. So he thinks he's gone.
I don't know. We got to look in that scene and examine if there's any empty seats. See, look at it frame by frame.
Right. But they're sitting separately, and Neil thinks, "Hey, I'm done with this guy.
Yeah.
I had to deal with him for a night. It's done. I'm going to Chicago." Yeah. And what happens? The train breaks down in Jefferson City, and now he's, he doesn't want to help him, but he sees him dragging his trunk, and he's like, I gotta help this guy.
Yeah.
I'm stuck with this guy.
Like, that trunk looks like it sucks.
Yeah. So he helps him, and they
gotta walk like a mile or two, right?
Yeah, they might walk him out to the bus terminal, because then they gotta take the. And then he finds out why he's on the bus. You know, he has a funny line. What's that line when he tells him? He asks him if he's ever traveled by bus.
Said you're not gonna like. It's not better. It's not better than the train. I forget what he says.
No. He says he asked them because he's like,
it's not gonna be much better. I forget what he says, dude.
Oh, he goes, this is the line. It's a hilarious line. So John Candy says, "You're in a pretty lousy mood, huh?" And Steve Martin goes, "To say the least." He goes, "You ever traveled by bus before?" He goes, "It's like your mood's probably not going to improve much."
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So they get on the bus, and it isn't until they're on the bus, John Candy tells them, "Hey, by the way, these tickets are only good to St. Louis. So once they reach St. Louis, they're gonna figure out another way to get home."
Right.
So they're just inching their way closer to Chicago, and that's where they reach the St. Louis airport, and he thinks, okay, I'm done with them. I'm just rent a car and go home.
Did they already do the bus?
They already did the bus.
You know.
Oh yes, you want to talk about that? Yeah.
No, but
it's one of your favorite.
It's fucking funny.
Yeah. So then the bus.
Because they're all singing those songs. Yeah. Like another song. What does he choose? Something like some obscure weird songs like 3 coins.
Three coins in a fountain.
Yeah, nobody knows what the fuck he's talking about.
But it's funny. It shows the separation of those two.
Oh, yeah,
right?
that's the point.
You have Neo, who is like, he's not a people person, and it's funny because he's a salesman, right?
Yeah.
And he is so detached from people, and then you have Dell, who is the man of the people, and he's able to rile up the crowd with the Flintstone theme song.
So is that it's a Sinatra song?
3 coins in a fountain. It might be like one of those, like they call them like a class, not a classic. They have there's a word for it, but it's one of those like old songs that I think everybody sang.
There is one version by Doris Day and Frank Sinatra.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm thinking. Yeah, I think it is a Sinatra song. I imagine if it's Sinatra, nobody did it before him, right? No.
It says here, 3 coins in a fountain is a popular song which received the Academy Award for Best Original Song in 1955. Okay. So it was written for the film 3 Coins in the Fountain.
Okay. Either way, it's just funny because like nobody knows what the fuck he's talking about. And then John Candy just comes in. Flintstones.
Meet the Flintstones. Yeah.
Then everybody on the bus just starts singing with them. Have a yabba dabba doo time.
So they get to St. Louis, and Steve Martin tries to rent a car, and they take him out, and
they killed him.
They killed him. Goodfellas style. The car blows up. And like in a Scorsese film. No, you know what's funny?
Take them out.
And you know what's funny? Have you noticed the name of the car rental company is Marathon, which doesn't exist. And the reason it doesn't exist is that no company will let them use their name because they don't want to. Obviously, no company wants to be known as an incapable.
It's a shitty company.
Yeah, because essentially they leave him out there. He doesn't have a car, and then he has to walk across the freeway to get to the counter where he meets a very nice lady. And she's very cheery. She's very, she's ready. What did she say? I'm gonna make my ambrosia. She's talking to.
She goes, I can't cook. What'd she say? Gobble gobble.
Gobble gobble.
Oh shit.
So he meets. Obviously she's in the mood for Thanksgiving.
The opposite mood of him.
And
that's my fucking favorite scene.
We get Steve Martin, and you know what's funny? This movie's rated R, but there's not really
that's the only reason
any scene that you can say
has to be that reason, right?
And it is because there is a lot of cussing, and I don't want to butcher it, so let me let Mr. Steve Martin.
I love this shit.
Speak for himself.
I don't want to say the F word on this show.
No,
Mom's gonna do the turkey. Yeah, Dad wants ambrosia, so I guess we gotta get those miniature marshmallows. And I'll do the crescent rolls, and you do the cranberries. You know I can't cook. Yeah, well, I'll see you tomorrow then. Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble.
Oh, bye-bye.
He's not a good man.
No, he's not a good man. He's all beat up.
Welcome to Marathon. May I help you?
Yes.
How may I help you?
You can start by wiping that fucking dumbass smile off your rosy fucking cheeks. Then you can give me a fucking automobile, a fucking Datsun, a fucking Toyota, a fucking Mustang, a fucking Buick, 4 fucking wheels and a seat.
I really don't care for the way you're speaking to me.
And I really don't care for the way your company left me in the middle of fucking nowhere with fucking keys to a fucking car that isn't fucking there. And I really didn't care to fucking walk down a fucking highway and across a fucking runway to get back here to have you smile at my fucking face. I want a fucking car right fucking now.
May I see your rental agreement?
I threw it away.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy, what?
You're fucked.
Such a great ending. Such a great little punchline there.
Fucking great.
It's like a minute scene. He says "fuck" like 16, 17 times, and that's the only reason this movie's rated R.
It's hilarious.
That's the only reason. It's crazy how that one
worth
scene.
it.
Yeah, but it's worth it. Yeah, it is one of those like it's worth it.
So worth it.
Like if you were to tell me like, hey, we can make this PG-13 movie, but we have to take out this scene. I'm like, no, no,
Fuck no.
no. But we'll make extra $20 million. No, it's worth it. It's worth yeah, yeah, because it's a classic scene. It's pretty.
And it was
pretty much,
also John Hughes was also already rolling, right?
yeah,
Like,
and you
they
know
were gonna let him
the
do it.
majority of movies were R-rated. That's crazy. People don't realize
Yeah.
he was.
Well, because there was no PG-13, right?
There was by then.
Was there?
Yeah, there was.
Oh, okay.
PG-13 came around in the 80s with Spielberg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
So there was used to be just like G, PG, and R.
Yeah. Yeah.
that
G,
right?
PG, and R. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, if it wasn't for that scene, there's nothing else in the movie that
Yeah.
will warrant an R rating. Like they already don't cuss. So.
What's his wife's name? The dead one.
Oh, Marie.
I mean, there's that scene where he violently murders Marie.
Yes. You finally
Yeah.
Yes.
That, I mean, it's pretty gruesome, guys. So I'm just kidding.
So he's shit out of luck. He has no car.
He's fucked.
He decides to take a taxi to Chicago, but because he's Neo and he's angry, he insults the taxi driver, and the taxi driver's not gonna take him anywhere. That's when Dell comes and saves the day. He rented a car.
Can't believe they cross paths
He
again.
calls fast again, and but not before this, Neo gets picked up by his balls.
Before he's gently lifted up by his testicles. What does John Candy say? Never seen a man lifted up by his testicles.
Testicles.
Yeah.
You're lucky. You're lucky. What do you say? You're lucky that I didn't crush your head. It's like I kind of wish you had.
Oh, yeah. He's talking like this for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. So now they're on their way in an automobile. The last part of that title. So they did a plane, they did a train, and now they're in an automobile, John.
Right.
So the title stays true. They take all three motifs.
Yeah.
Fun little fact. Did you notice in the beginning? You know how before on the title sequence you hear sounds. They actually do it in the order. You hear a plane,
Mm-hmm.
then you hear a train, and you hear automobile. Nice
Yeah.
little like yeah.
I already knew that. I'm just kidding.
But it's one of those things like
No, I'm just fucking
like you do overlook. You're like, oh yeah, like it's nice little touches like that. Like
Yeah.
he keeps I know it might not seem like much, but when you rewatch, you're like, oh yeah, like nice little touches, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, you might not notice on the first viewing, but once you watch it like 80 times,
37 times. 37 times, and it's only been out, what is it, 32 years?
Yeah. How many times do you think you've seen it? I've seen it like 30-something times.
I've
Yeah.
probably seen it like 15, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, it's 15, but probably like hasn't been like, it's probably been like 5-6 years
Yeah.
for me.
Like between watching it.
I've seen parts, but just to actually like watch it like from beginning to end, it's probably been like 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But,
Yeah. So they're on the car.
Well, until like, yesterday. It's like,
So now it's been a
like,
whole.
we got to talk about something I watched 6 years ago. I wouldn't go very well at all.
So now it's been officially a full day since they've met. It's nighttime the next day,
Mm-hmm.
and they're traveling by car now, and
Yeah.
they're making good time, John.
Yeah.
I
figure all their obstacles are done.
And Steve Martin takes a nice little nap,
Mm-hmm.
and John Candy is driving with
John Candy, you so crazy.
smoking a cigarette, dancing to is it Louis Armstrong?
I forget the
That
song.
that famous song.
Yeah, I forget the song. He doesn't get his jacket caught in the
He gets his jacket caught. It's stupid. He gets his
both his arms stuck.
So he's driving with his
hold,
knees.
He can't hold the steering wheel.
It is the most absurd way to get your arm stuck. It is super hilarious. And only John can't like that's when you like, hey, you're a great comic, right? Because
Yeah.
if you're not a great comic, you can't pull that off. It
Yeah.
would seem like so silly.
So there's been people throughout the years. It's like kind of like Chris Farley,
yeah,
and not just because another fat funny guy.
yeah,
just
but
like,
just this physicality, like it works. Like
Yeah.
he's able to,
yeah.
yeah. just
Because you know what the difference is John Candy. This is a little off topic, but it's not really. John Candy was just a great, hilarious, just the way he said things and
Yeah.
acting.
Yeah.
And it's just comedic timing and acting and
Yeah.
all that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. He has the best lines in this movie.
Chris Farley is a lot of physical comedy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he was able to you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
They're both funny.
Yeah.
But very different.
No, like along the lines.
Because the physical comedy comes from Steve Martin.
Yeah.
In Planes, Trains, Automobiles.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's really is Steve Martin's the more physical.
Yeah.
Comedy.
But John Candy's the best lines. Like,
it's a perfect combo because that's what they did in Tommy Boy. Was Chris Farley had all that physical comedy. David Spade had that.
Yeah.
David Spade is basically the Steve Martin of that movie.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're the same at all, but there's a little.
Well, actually, no. He's probably more the John Candy in terms of like he's delivering the lines.
I just mean more like the straight.
Oh
edge,
yeah.
Like,
no, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
And we'll get to some of the funny quotes in a few minutes, but and most of them are delivered by John Candy, and they're great.
Well, they have to be, except that fucking Steve Martin scene. It's fucking hilarious.
So,
like when I was watching it yesterday, I was like, I watched it by myself, like, just for this or whatever, and I was like, I forgot how fucking funny this scene is.
Yeah. So John Candy almost kills him, and turns the car around, spins it, and he goes back on the road and doesn't realize he's going the wrong way. Until the nice couple screams at them.
You're going the wrong way.
It's like they're drunk. I don't know.
They're seeing where we're going. They're drunk.
And they go. They realize it too late until they see those two semis, and they go in between them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "We'll just buffer this out. It's just it's not a." Yeah, and of course,
he finally gets Steve Martin to laugh.
He finally gets Steve Martin to laugh when the car burns down because Steve Martin thinks, karma's a bitch. It's like finally something bad happened to John Candy.
Because it was your car.
It was your car, your credit card. He's like, who would even rent you a car with no credit card? And that's when John Candy reveals that, I used yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somehow he ended up with Steve Martin's credit card, which in the the first scene in the motel, you do see like he accidentally does pick up his card.
The guy, the guy that checks him in.
Yeah, the guy that checks him in. So he realizes that Steve Martin's on the hook for the car.
Yeah.
And they
and his wallet's in the car.
The wallet's in the car, so they have to.
It's on fire.
So when they try to rent a hotel room, he has to barter with his very expensive watch. And unfortunately, Dell doesn't have as expensive
I'm
as a watch.
always curious what type of watch it was.
It's a Timex, I think.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't say. I just can't see.
No, I don't. They show it. I thought. No, he says a very nice watch.
Very nice. He goes. He says a hell of a nice watch.
Hell of a nice watch, and $17.
Is it 17, right?
Yeah,
and then what does Candy have? 12.
$3.
$3?
I think $3 and a Casio.
I don't know. I thought it was $12.
The funniest thing is the way he presents the Casio.
Yeah,
over
like
his wrist.
He's trying to show like it's fancy and shit.
Yeah, it's like and a Casio.
Yeah.
So luckily, Steve Martin has enough of a heart to not let him freeze to death out in that car, because John Candy was gonna try to sleep in the car with no roof, no nothing really, in the freezing cold. So they have a bonding moment, drinking. It's
I'll clear it up real quick.
Go ahead.
It's $2.
$2
and a Casio.
And a Casio. And Steve Martin gives him $17, right? And a hell of a nice watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have a bonding moment in the hotel, drinking essentially mini liquor bottles that Dell has collected over the years, it seems, from different airlines.
Yeah, that's what it has to be, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Because it's his liquor. Like, it's different liquor, so they're mini bottles. So where else would he have gotten them? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he travels a lot, so you get the sense that he's collecting them over the years. Now they're drinking them all. So that's probably one of the things.
I got a friend that does the same thing, but I'm not gonna see where they come from.
So they get back on the road it's Thanksgiving morning, and they're driving in their roofless car.
Yeah.
And they get pulled over by the officer, who was played by Michael McLean, one of the guys from This Is Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
And he tells them this is unsafe for travel. So unfortunately, he has to tow their car.
Yeah, or he goes, "Do you feel this? Do you feel this car is safe for highway travel?"
He's like, "Yes, sir, I do."
Yes, sir. The radio still works.
Yes, that's his only like if the radio still works, it's safe. Yeah. So obviously they're stuck in wherever they're stuck, and the last leg of the travel is gonna be the milk truck. Thanksgiving morning, and they make it for dinner, make it in time. But before that,
but I like John Candy's line when they get pulled over. He's like, my friend won't be able to get home for his Thanksgiving dinner. Like that's gonna save his fucking like the cops.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys ever get pulled over, the officer won't let you go. Just tell him you're on your way to
Thanksgiving dinner. No matter what time of the year it is, just say Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
July. Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. Arbor Day, Thanksgiving dinner.
It works never, but just give it a try.
So they make it to Chicago, and they're at the train station, and they're finally on their respective ways. And Steve Martin's clear of this guy. He's on the train, and then he starts thinking back to all their conversations, and he starts putting it one and one together.
He's like a detective at the end.
Yeah, at the end. Yeah. Hey, did you know? I don't know if you know this. Just a quick trivia. That scene where you see Steve Martin's just sitting there and reflecting, and you see the flashbacks to all the scenes of Dell mentioning his wife and mentioning home and mentioning he hasn't been home for years. That those reaction shots were actually like outtakes. It's like they just kept rolling.
Oh, that's cool.
On the train, and originally the ending was gonna be that John Candy just follows Steve Martin home. He doesn't get the hints like, hey, like I'm going home. So they didn't want to do that ending. So they had to reshoot the ending.
I think this was better.
Yeah. So John Candy said that they had all this unused footage that Steve Martin didn't realize they were still filming in between takes, and he said that there was this beautiful moments between
expressions.
Yeah, that Steve Martin was, I guess, trying to see what's his next line was going to be between takes, and he made these, great.
It's like, oh, he's thinking.
He's
it's
thinking,
like, oh, he's laughing. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, he's like, yeah.
Yeah, and it was just coincidental that luckily they just kept filming between takes, and they got all this footage, and that's what they used.
Nice.
Where Steve Martin, puts it together, and he heads back to the station. There's Dell sitting, and he's not going anywhere. He tells him,
sitting on his trunk.
And he's sitting on a bench, I think.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and he's like in this train station. He's like, well, I don't
Yeah,
have a home. He's homeless. You had a theory, so I was asking you, like, where is Dell going? Like this whole, like he's homeless. His wife's been dead for 8 years.
I didn't really have a theory because he was going to Chicago no matter what, right?
It seemed like, yeah.
No, but you're saying why does he keep going with him?
No. Well, my thing is like, where is he going?
I don't know where he's going.
Yeah, where is he going?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
no.
strange.
The thing I was gonna say is he's just sticking with him because he likes him.
He likes him. He has nowhere else to go.
Yeah, he has nowhere else to go. So I'm just saying, like, why would he keep going somewhere he doesn't need to go? Because he has nowhere to go, but he likes.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like he just keeps going with them. Like
he's just gonna ride it as long as he can.
Yeah, and then he's just gonna
figure it out.
Yeah,
I think that's what he's been doing for years.
For his life.
And it's
something
lucky.
freeing to that.
I think there's something lucky, like not lucky. Something. I don't say lucky. I don't know why I use that word. I guess he's likable.
Yeah.
So I think he's like he knows he'll be all right.
And you know what? It's funny. Steve Martin needs John Candy as much as John Candy needs Steve Martin. Because think about it, Steve Martin
doesn't realize it.
He doesn't realize it. Like Steve Martin's character, he's not a people person. He would have not. He wouldn't have made it home. He wouldn't have made it home. He wouldn't have booked a hotel room. He didn't have the connection because he doesn't talk to people. He's lost all contact to the common people. Right? He's this rich marketing executive who, he's a salesperson. He doesn't deal with people.
Yeah.
And Dell does. And Dell, because he deals with people, he's able to get them out of jams. And every time that Steve Martin's character is in a jam, there's Dell, his guardian angel. And obviously, Dell needs Steve Martin because, he's lonely. He doesn't have anybody. He doesn't have a family.
Right.
But they both need each other, and it's yeah.
No, I mean it works. It is like I said. It's a nice little family, not family movie.
Yeah.
I mean it is like there's some drama in this comedy.
And you know what makes it work? It doesn't seem dated. I mean, other than some of the technology, it doesn't seem really dated.
No, I mean, it definitely has like a 80s feel to it.
Yeah,
but
I mean, obviously,
no. Yeah,
in today's world, it'll be just cell phone, like it was just call, right? But
yeah. No, it ages. It's still. I was still laughing.
Yeah.
Watching it yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's fucking funny.
So
it is still like it is one of those like it is like a holiday movie, but it's like it's fucking good. It's like it's really like. It's funny it's funny we're talking about like as a kid and as an adult. It's still funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty much will probably be it's going to continue to age well.
Yeah.
There's no more John Candy.
He's dead.
Yeah, he
died at 43. He was real young.
It was a heart attack, right?
He had a myocardial infarction. Is that how you pronounce it? Myocardial infarction.
I'm not laughing. I'm just saying, just call it heart stuff.
Yeah. So before we leave, I'd like to read some of the, like we were talking about, John Candy had the funniest lines. I want to read some of them. He says this. This one's a little underrated. We've had more luck playing pickup sticks with our butt cheeks than we will getting a flight out of here before daybreak. Such a weird line.
Nice.
You know.
You ever play pickup sticks with your butt cheeks?
No. Here's another exchange. Del tells Neil, "You play with your balls a lot."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah. You do more ball handling in 1 minute than Larry Bird does in an hour."
Well,
You know what
it sounds dated.
You know what I really like? He goes, "A couple more hands and an extra set of balls."
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, no, that's funny.
Was that seat hot or what? I feel like a whopper. Turn me over. I'm done and ready. I'm afraid to look at my ass. There'll be grill marks. But I don't know, that line always cracks you up. It's just this delivery.
Yeah, no, it's funny because that's what he says when he's when they're drinking.
Yeah, when they're drinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Neil, he says we're going the wrong way. And he goes, "Oh, he's drunk. How would he know where we're going?"
Yeah. That's one of those ones that I always repeated growing up. Like,
yeah. I was when the state trooper pulls him over. "What the hell are you driving here?" Because we had a small fire last night, but we caught it in the nick of time. It's like, really? Caught it in the nick of time? Do you have any idea how fast you were going? He goes, "Funny enough, I was just talking to my friend about that. Our speedometer has melted, and as a result, it's very hard to see with any degree of accuracy exactly how fast we were going."
Radio still works.
This is a quick one that he says. $6 and my right nut says we're not landing in Chicago when they're like sleeping on the plane.
There's a lot of quick lines.
Yeah. Oh, you know, this one isn't said by Del, but this is funny when Neil's gonna taxi his way to Chicago. The cab dispatcher, "Where are you going?" He goes, "Chicago." "Chicago? Yeah. Don't you know you're in St. Louis?" "Yes, I do. So why don't you try the airlines? It's faster and you get a free meal. Because if I wanted a joke, I'd follow you into the John and watch you take a leak."
Nice. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Let's see. There's one more that's can't remember.
You think there's a better Thanksgiving movie?
No. Like this is the only way I watch for Thanksgiving. Like there's no other Thanksgiving movie I can think of.
Yeah.
It is hard, right? There's not a lot of Thanksgiving movies.
Nah, I was like, I'm trying to remember anything that's even like comparable, but I don't think so.
And it's funny because it's like it doesn't really take. I mean, it takes place during Thanksgiving, but it's not really a Thanksgiving movie.
My mom liked Home for the Holidays a lot.
Oh yeah, that is. But
no,
it's not something I watch every year.
I'm just saying it's not there's no comparison.
Yeah, I don't think I watch that every year. It's a little hard.
Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, guys.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I've never been into Charlie Brown. He creeps me out.
He haunts my dreams.
Okay. Before we end this week's episode, since we were talking about planes, trains, and automobiles, I think I wanted to end it with, we always try to do trivia or, some fun facts. So I think this week we'll do a little bit of fun facts of two people who were part of this movie and are no longer with us. So obviously John Candy passed away in the 90s, in 95, I believe. His last movie was Wagons East, which is a terrible movie, and he hated doing it. And he died on the set. And John Hughes obviously passed away earlier this decade. I forget what year.
I don't know.
He died at 50. He was 50 years old. So I figure we'll end it with a couple of facts of those two great legends.
What? Also Kevin Bacon.
He's still alive.
I saw him die in Sleepers.
Oh, yeah. Did he die? He did die in Sleepers.
In a restaurant.
Okay, John. So
kind of deserved it though. Not him, but
no, not him. He's a decent man from what I've heard.
John, cool guy.
John Candy. Did you know he was almost a part of the movie Ghostbusters?
No, I did not.
So in 1983, John Candy was pulling in $350,000 a picture after starring in Stripes with Bill Murray and Harold Ramis.
It's
So
funny that wasn't bad back then, was it?
no, it was pretty good. Yeah. So Dan Aykroyd and Ramis had written the part of Louis Tully. You know that? You remember that character in Ghostbusters? It's the part that Rick Moranis ended up playing.
Okay.
So originally that was supposed to go to John Candy. And if you think about it, it would have been perfect. That movie had a lot of what ifs. Did you know that? Did you know originally Eddie Murphy was supposed to play the Ernie Hudson character?
No, really?
Yeah. Imagine that movie had Eddie Murphy and John Candy.
That'd be weird.
Yeah.
Might work.
I mean, the movie's already, loaded with stars as it is.
Yeah.
But imagine John Candy and Eddie Murphy in that movie. I mean, crazy.
Yeah, I know. It would get Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray together.
So yeah, John Candy turned it down. It was a smaller paycheck, so ended up going to Rick Moranis. Did you know John Candy was a part owner of a Canadian football team?
I knew he was Canadian.
He was Canadian. So in 1991, the then owner of the Los Angeles Kings, Bruce McNall, purchased the CFL.
I still bet on CFL.
Do you?
Sometimes.
So there is a team called the Toronto Argonauts. He bought it with Wayne Gretzky.
Mm-hmm.
So Candy called he was friends with Bruce McNall, and he called him to congratulate him on the purchase.
Mm-hmm.
And McNall talked him into investing in the team as well. So...
No, we should actually... This is where we should have done some math. We should have seen, should he have sold it or not? Seen how much he would have made if he kept it.
Maybe I kept it.
Come up with those numbers later. See what it's worth today. John Candy would have been so rich.
Right? So
I don't know if the team's around anymore.
So no, I don't know. I haven't
What's
seen
it called?
The Toronto Argonauts. So obviously John Candy, this was a John Hughes movie, and John Candy was John Hughes' go-to guy. He was the actor who appeared in more John Hughes movies than any other actor. He appeared in 7 John Hughes movies between 1983 and 1991. Starting with National Lampoon's Vacation, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, The Great Outdoors, She's Having a Baby, Uncle Buck, Home Alone, and Career Opportunities.
I love Career Opportunities.
Is that in Target?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is an interesting fact. Remember Uncle Buck?
Yes.
So apparently,
Not to be confused with Ghost Dad.
Nah.
Which has become much creepier over the years.
Yes. So apparently, during the filming of Uncle Buck, Candy, who was known to be gregarious and he liked to drink, he went out to a local bar while he was filming that, and he spent the evening hanging out and drinking. So the next day, John Hughes heard a caller on a local radio station talking about meeting Candy the night before. So Hughes became upset with Candy, and John Candy said, "Hey, my character's supposed to be this disheveled loser. Like, I'm in character." But Hughes grounded him, and he canceled the rest of his scenes for that day.
Really?
Yeah, he got super upset with.
You got mad because he went out?
He went out the night before.
I didn't know he was such a prude. Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, apparently during Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, he wasn't the nicest guy. He was going through a lot of stuff, so he was like really grumpy.
Yeah.
Did you know there's a postage stamp of John Candy?
Oh, really?
So he made his way onto the Canadian 51-cent stamp in 2006.
You know who else has a stamp? I think.
Who?
Martin Short.
In Canada.
In Canada, yes.
So part of that series he's part of is called Canadians in Hollywood. So it included him, Fay Wray, the old black and white actress, Lauren Green, and Mary Pickford.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all Canadians that went out to Hollywood. Let's see.
It's funny how people, and even you think Steve Martin, what was the one in Canada that he was on? Was he on anything in Canada like that? What was the SNL version in Canada?
SCTV.
That was Martin Short was on.
That was Martin Short. John Candy was on there as well.
Okay.
Rick Moranis. Yeah.
So Martin Short just hosted SNL a lot.
Yeah. So, John Candy launched his own radio station in 1989. So he had his own radio station on Los Angeles station KNX-FM. It's called Radio Candy with a K. It was a 2-hour top 40 music/comedy radio show, and it featured Second City comics. And it came into fruition after Candy caught the radio bug from doing a short DJ stint in Canada. So Candy was quoted by Los Angeles Times. He said, "I love the medium, and since I can't play an instrument, I can at least play records. 2 years ago, I did that radio show for about 100 stations in Canada. They were 90-minute shows that ran weekly through the summer, kind of an oldies, rock and roll, and comedy show. So he had his own radio station.
Nice. Yeah, the Argonauts are still going strong.
That's good. And even though John Candy played these larger than life characters on screen, he was not a man known for promoting himself. He was pretty shy in real life. He said Kenny might have been a larger than life character, but off camera he wasn't always. He didn't like the
same
attention.
thing. Like, well, I don't know. I don't know a lot about like Belushi stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You hear the same thing about Farley, right?
Yeah. Farley had a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And he had OCD actually. I think I told you one story where, or maybe it was on the show on, or maybe it was it was an interview that David Spade said that before it seemed like every SNL skit he would get nervous, and I think he said like he would mess with them.
A lot of them do that. Right?
He said he would like mess with them because he would see them across like they're about to do the scene and he's like all nervous and he's like, "You're a fucking lunatic." He would mouth it to him, "You're a fucking lunatic." Like David Spade. He's like, "Fuck you!" Like he would get mad at him. But apparently he was really OCD. He would come into the office like if they're the writing office and he would flick the lights on and off. It was just he had this OCD like he had to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll talk about it later. It's a dirty story with Chris Farley. It's funny though.
Okay. But yeah, John Candy, the reason he said he didn't like the Impress, he thought he was a boring guy. He says there's not much. I don't think I'm a very interesting guy. That's part of the reason.
I think that's a lot of them.
Yeah. And then quickly before we go, let's do a couple of John Hughes facts. Did you know he wrote under a pseudonym, John Hughes?
Was not his name?
Was not his name. He didn't want to, saturate the market with his name, so he usually wrote under the name Edmond Dantes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know he wrote all the Beethoven movies? The one with
really?
the dogs? Yeah, he wrote it under that pseudonym because he didn't want people to know he wrote the movies.
I don't blame him.
Actually, it's funny. People don't.
Beethoven. I've not seen that in like forever.
Yeah, like he directed movies throughout all the 80s and then early 90s, and then he stopped. But people don't realize he kept writing. He just didn't really use his name.
Oh.
Yeah, he actually wrote
smart.
Baby's Day Out too. Did you know that?
I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an underrated movie. It's funny.
Yeah. It's a little unrealistic.
Yeah.
It's grown mob men cannot catch this baby.
Yeah.
It's not like they got to break in. Like the baby's just crawling away from them half the movie, and
yeah, it is. Yeah.
the baby cannot walk. Can the baby walk?
No, the baby's crawling. It's a baby.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, it's not a toddler.
No, it's a baby.
It's a baby.
It's a baby. It's his day out.
Outsmarting
And it's his day out.
grown men. Okay, I guess I could buy it.
Yeah. It's outsmarting Big Tony.
That was Big. Oh, the guy that played Big Tony in The Simpsons.
Yeah. Did you know, John, the Big Breakfast confessions were all improvised?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he let his actors improvise the reasons why they were in detention.
So he was lazy.
He wrote The Breakfast Club in 2 days.
Nice.
So he was known for that. He would write scripts in like a couple of days. He was known for doing that.
Nice.
So he was such a fast writer that he left behind dozens of unproduced movies after his death. So during his productive peak, he was known to knock out a whole screenplay in a weekend. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's taking me 10 years to even write like one page. He put cue cards on John Candy's head. During the sequence in Uncle Buck where Macaulay Culkin interrogates Buck, the script's dialogue was written on index cards and placed on John Candy's head so that Culkin could get his lines off quickly without having to worry about memorization.
Nice.
He almost made a live-action Peanuts movie in 1992. So Warner Brothers bought the rights to the Peanut comic strip, and Hughes was going to turn it into a live-action flick. But they shelved it after... remember Dennis the Menace, the live-action 1994 movie?
Yeah.
That one bombed in the box office. So after that happened, they didn't want to...
played the kid? Just some kid?
Yeah, some actor.
It was Walter Matthau.
Walter Matthau was...
the old guy, the neighbor.
The neighbor. What was his name? Mr. Wilson.
Hey, Mr. Wilson. Yeah.
Apparently, he made Robert Downey Jr. so mad he pooped in a trailer.
Wait, Robert Downey Jr. pooped in a trailer?
So, Weird Science was one of Downey's first breakthrough roles. Remember him in Weird Science?
I remember that he's in it, but I don't.
But working with Hughes was so aggravating that the young actor took a dump on the floor of co-star Kelly LeBrock's trailer out of spite.
Didn't he do something else on Fincher where he peed in bottles?
Yeah, he peed in bottles. This guy likes to
That's
like
what
do. I know he likes.
The man likes defecating and peeing.
Yeah.
On set.
Hughes fired a guy over pizza.
Haven't we all?
A Spy article published in 1993 shared numerous stories about Hughes' difficulty to work with, claiming that he fired a prop supervisor on Curly Sue because after many takes of a pizza eating scene, he ran out of cheese pizza and had to substitute sausage. And what was that?
Was he a vegetarian?
I don't know. And finally, many of his movies were supposed to have sequels.
Mm-hmm.
The wave,
planes, trains, and automobiles.
right?
I want to know how long you stayed,
What do you mean?
John Candy.
What do you mean? How long you stayed?
Like he stayed for dinner. Like you probably spent the night.
Like
Wanna know-
after?
Yeah.
the sequel.
Yeah. I wonder
He's
how long-
homeless. Yeah. What does Steve Martin do?
I don't know. Because like it's such a touching scene. Be like, all right, get the fuck out. You can't do that.
It's cold outside. He has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Just this big trunk with shit. He probably smells.
Yeah.
He's doing like cleaning his clothes in like
He definitely-
hotel sinks.
He definitely spent the night.
He had to, right?
Yeah.
He had to.
Yeah.
And then he put him on a cab the next morning. All right.
Steve Martin's the kind of guy probably like give him some cash. Like,
Yeah, he probably gave him like $700.
yeah. Which in today is
$1,500. Which
yeah.
none of us have lost.
I have.
And then
Matt's being sarcastic.
finally,
I'll tell you the story some other podcast.
yeah. So a lot of his movies were supposed to have sequels. In the mid 2000s, there was talks of sequels for The Breakfast Club, which seems natural, right? And Ferris Bueller's Day Off, that would revisit the characters at later points in their lives, but they never materialized. So
I think
We'll probably never
Ferris
get it.
Bueller
Probably be the easiest.
makes more sense.
probably be the easiest, right? Yeah.
Because it's already like, there's nothing serious about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like.
You find out that Cameron finally killed himself. And
Jesus Christ. Dad murdered him after that. Fucking threw the Porsche off the. It was a Porsche, right?
It was a Porsche, yeah. Nice Porsche.
Porsche.
Yeah, it was a really nice Porsche.
Who thinks that that's how you get speed on miles back?
Idiot teenagers.
Going in reverse.
Idiot teenagers. Yeah. That's such an interesting film, though, Ferris Bueller.
It's a weird movie.
Yeah. Did you ever hear the theory that Cameron was a figment of Ferris Bueller's imagination?
No, you start reading this.
Or actually, no. That Ferris Bueller was like Cameron's alter ego. That was his version of like, hey, if I'm gonna get cut loose, this is how I would do it.
I start thinking that Stanley Kubrick really did fake the moon landing
Yeah.
soon.
Almost like Mr. Robot. That was his alter ego.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah. So, and Cameron did have a abusive father. That makes sense.
Okay.
He would. All right.
I don't think these movies are nearly as complex as people are trying to make them.
All right. So that's it, John. That's facts about the two Johns. Your
Right.
name is John. Hey, look, there's all the connection, John.
Right?
John's a common name, right?
What if I'm just a figment of your imagination?
Yeah, thinking about that sometimes. Like, what if I'm just sitting here talking to myself?
Pretty much are.
Like, where am I going to? Like, to film, like record these podcasts? I'm coming to your house.
Oh my.
Like, am I like in some empty field just recording this? It's not even going out.
Maybe it's like the future and it's like VR.
Yeah.
And this is like the best VR world that you can fucking.
Such a boring.
It's like you chose this.
Instead of like doing something like exciting. Yeah, maybe.
I want to be on a podcast once a week.
This is what I do. Right? This
Like,
is what I choose.
You can choose anything you want, man.
It's like, no, I want to do this. All right. So, anything else you want to speak to about John Hughes, John Candy, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles before we leave?
Who was the
us.
guy in Boogie Nights that Mark Wahlberg was based on?
That was John Holmes.
Not the same guy, right?
No, not the same guy.
Just wanted to clear that up.
Yes, John Holmes,
Okay.
not John Hughes.
All right.
Two completely different. Although they both worked in the 80s for the most part. Oh, John Holmes wasn't working as much in the 80s.
Okay.
He was being involved in drug deals gone wrong.
So not the same guy.
Not the same guy.
All right. That's all I wanted to know.
That's it?
Yeah.
No no partying advice. This is where I this is the segment of the show where I let John give some of his infinite wisdom to our listeners. So John, you have the floor. What wisdom do you want to give our listeners this week before we go? And we wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for putting me on the spot. I forgot there's a thing now.
Yeah.
Okay, a few days ago, I asked somebody if they were ready.
For what?
I was gonna give them a ride, and they said I was born ready.
Really?
And don't ever say that to somebody.
Did they really say they were born ready?
Yeah, but they were trying to be funny,
And you didn't think it was funny?
and I almost didn't want to give them a ride anymore. But I did.
Okay, that's good.
But if you're thinking about saying that, guys, don't.
So that is John's wisdom for this Thanksgiving break. Give thanks.
I had to think of something really fast.
All right, John. But before we go, because this is our Thanksgiving
Gobble,
episode.
gobble.
This is our Thanksgiving episode. What are you most thankful for?
This fucking podcast is over.
Yes, that's what you're most thankful for. John, you know what I'm most thankful for this year? That we got to restart this podcast, and I get to spend time with you every week.
Cool.
Every Sunday night, because otherwise we would not spend time with each other.
I
So
like
That's what I'm most thankful for this year.
avocados.
Avocados.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like avocado. I'm starting to like avocados.
Yeah, you don't like avocados.
I'm starting to now.
Okay.
That's all I'm thankful for this year.
All right.
Forget the other stuff about us talking.
Yeah, I mean, you're thankful for the thing with me and whatever and all that shit you said. I like avocados.
You like avocados.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, we really sincerely hope everybody has a safe and happy Thanksgiving with their loved ones. If you don't have loved ones, find somebody who will love you this Thanksgiving and have dinner with them. Doesn't have to be a full Thanksgiving dinner. It could just be
honestly, just fucking be nicer to people.
Yeah,
There's a lot of assholes.
For one day, just no matter how bad you might feel like your life is, or
Like we
somebody's
say, for one day, you could be an asshole the rest of the year.
just for one day, just be nice and like do something.
Tone it down.
Do something for somebody else. Like if you can do that, then you can.
You ever had somebody do that thing where it was like where they pay for the person in front of them at the drive-thru?
Yeah.
Have they ever done it for you?
No.
Have you done it for somebody?
No.
I've had it done for me before.
Really?
And I think it's because I drive a shitty car.
You
And I
think
don't
you're
want to say
poor?
the car. So they think so they think I can't pay for my food. But it's still a nice thing to do.
Yeah, regardless of how much money that person has, right?
Yeah. I was still like, oh, really? And I did it for the car behind me.
You know what? I haven't done the drive-thru thing, but I've done at the grocery store. Have you ever had like they're struggling? Like you can tell maybe they had a little like.
You know, I don't do it.
Why?
It seems like I could embarrass them.
Yeah, you're right.
So
I did do it once.
You're just being a dick.
No, but I did it like they done this like they just didn't have like, but I don't know that they couldn't afford it. It just didn't have like they're missing like $1, and
That'd be funny if you're trying to be nice and get the shit beat out of you. Yeah.
Actually,
I know somebody who. Okay, real quick.
Uh-huh.
It was a homeless person asked somebody I knew for money.
Mm-hmm.
It was outside of a Quiznos,
Mm-hmm.
and she bought him a sandwich. And
He didn't want the sandwich.
He got fucking pissed.
He's like, I wanted money.
Yep.
Yeah, he didn't want to Quiznos.
Yeah. I'm not saying that. Yeah. Not.
I've bought people like if it's a hot summer day and they're asking for change because they want something to drink, I'll buy them water or soda or something. But no, I've done. You know what's funny though? The grocery store thing. I didn't do it because I was trying to be nice. I just wanted to like. I was in a hurry.
gonna say.
I was in a little bit of a hurry.
You're paying to keep the line moving, asshole.
Yeah,
Trying to make it seem like it's about you.
No, I didn't say that. That's the closest I've ever done. Because you asked me about the drive-thru thing. I never done the drive-thru thing, but
Yeah.
I've done that. I don't say I did it out of niceness. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
it because yeah.
You know what's
I was gonna
fun?
fuck
You
her.
want to hear the funny part though?
What?
Is that I was like, that's nice. I'll do it for the car behind me. More expensive than my shit.
Oh, when you did it?
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's funny.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, that
it
is
was
funny.
like $6 more than what I ordered.
What prompted you to do this? You just want to do something nice?
I was like, okay, I guess I'll do it for the car behind me and pay it forward kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Because the car in front of me did it for me.
Oh, the same. Okay.
Yeah, it was the same. I did it right away.
Okay.
I was like, I don't want to give nothing. I was like, well, I'll get the car behind me.
Yeah.
I
Do you
forget.
think the car behind you did it for the car behind them?
Fuck no.
You think they broke the chain right then and there?
Probably.
It would be crazy if like all day people started doing that. Like it was like one of those like magical days at Wendy's, and I don't know if it was Wendy's. I'm just throwing out a restaurant.
That's how Ponzi schemes start.
And with that, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Gobble, gobble.
Gobble gobble. Bye bye.